I feel like we could title this vlog, I pick books and they're not what I think they are. Hi everyone, my name is Brittany from Brittany Loves Reading, and it is Sunday, which means it's time to start a new TBRathon vlog. In this vlog, I'm going to be playing the To Be Rolled game. I love a game board. I love a TBR game, so I am very excited to play this week. Am I going to finish the game this week? Hopefully, but I'm just going to play it all week. Every time I need a new read, we're going to roll, we're going to see what we get, and we're going to pick a book. And we're just going to roll as we go. If we finish the board, that's excellent. Or if the week finishes first, then that's what will happen. So I have no idea how many books I'm going to read in this vlog. It really depends on what the dice gives me. If you don't know what TBRathon is, it is a readathon hosted by Leandra from the TBR Zero. I will put all the information down below. Leandra did so much work on these boards and games and various things, and it's been so much fun participating in January. So let's jump in and do my first roll. I'm gonna roll on camera and put the picture of the board here somewhere and just show you like a little electronic piece moving along the board. So that's what we're gonna do. I have my dice roller, and let's get to it. So let's see if I can roll where you can see that. There we go, a 3. So we can do one of two things. We can either do phone a friend or dice decides. I'm gonna do dice decides because I don't have anyone to call right now. So we're going to roll and see what we get. If it's odds, it's thrills. If it's evens, it is cozy. I'm hoping for odds because tonight B&K Book Club starts and our book is a thriller. So that would be actually perfect. So we're gonna hope for an odds roll. Let me see if I can get this situated again so you can see. And we got an even. That wasn't exactly what I was hoping for, but that's okay. Let me go pick a cozy and I'll let you know what it is once I go pick it. So I've decided to go for a romance. Romance is definitely cozy for me, and that's what I've decided to pick up. Plus, I really wanted to get to this in January because it takes place over 8 hours in January. That's when the book takes place. So I was actually really hoping to get to this anyway. So perfect, it fits great. And that is 8 Perfect Hours by Leah Lewis. I know this takes place during like a blizzard. They get stranded in their cars and they spend 8 hours together like on the side of the road. That's pretty much all I know about this book. So I'm going to go read it and I will check in with you as I go along and tell you a bit more about it as we read it. So it's time to give you a little update on 8 Perfect Hours. I started it last night, did not get that much through, like 20 pages, but this morning I did, and I'm now at page 118. This, however, is not a romance. This is a contemporary fiction with a romance subplot. The contemporary fiction is actually a little bit heavier than I was expecting since the cover is so kind of cutesy romance. I was not expecting it to be this heavy. It's not crazy heavy, but since I'm using this for the prompt of cozy, I think I've missed the mark a little bit on the prompt, but I went into it thinking it was a cozy romance, so I'm still going to count it because with what I knew about the book, it fit. Now that I'm reading it, less so, but we're going to go with what I knew about it and just go with it. So in the first couple of chapters, we do have what I said. Nicole is stranded on the side of the road in a snowstorm. Sam comes up, knocks on her window, and they spend that night together stranded on the side of the road. And that is how this book starts. Sam is an American, and this is set in the UK. Sam goes back to America. He leaves. They do not exchange information, so they really don't have any way to get back in contact with each other. So they kind of lose touch, and we see Noelle's life. Noelle is in her 30s. She broke up with her boyfriend of 12 years, a couple of years previous to this book. He was a doctor. He wanted to move to America to take up a position at a hospital, and she did not follow him because she is her mother's carer. Her mother had a stroke. I don't quite know how long ago. It's been a while, but her mother had a stroke and Noelle is taking care of her. But her mother really is capable of doing things for herself, but she has a lot of anxiety since her stroke. And her anxiety is making it so that she can't leave the house. She is housebound because of her anxiety and her depression and her mental illness. And Noelle is taking care of her. And we see the struggle that is putting on Noelle. Being a caregiver is a lot of work, and it's something that I actually know a little bit about, being a caregiver, and it is a lot. I can relate to Noelle and what she's going through quite a bit in this book. So we're seeing the mother's mental health struggles from the stroke and various things that have happened. And we also see Noelle's from being a carer and how that can be very emotionally taxing on someone, especially when you have to do everything for someone who doesn't really want to get help. Her mother doesn't really want to get help for her mental illness. So that's creating a little bit of a problem as well. However, at this point, she has run into Sam again. Sam is the person that she spent the 8 hours with on the side of the road. So Sam is kind of back, kind of. This time they've run into each other, but they still haven't really set up any way of continuing their relationship, even as friends, like to continue even being in contact. They haven't really set up anything around that. But also the ex-boyfriend is back and he's now in England again. I don't know if he's moved back or if he's just visiting. Like, I don't know why he's here, but he is also here. So there's a little bit of kind of things with him. He kind of appears every once in a while as well. So I would not call this a romance, not even like with a love triangle, because it's not really a love triangle. It really just follows Noelle kind of going through these kind of instances of meeting these people and figuring out what her life is going to look like. And I'm assuming helping her mother also get some mental health help as well. I don't know if that's going to be part of the book because I haven't hit it yet. I don't know exactly how they're going to tackle the mental health in this book. So far, I'm loving the rep of the mental health rep and the anxiety rep in this book, but I don't know where we're going with it just yet. I'm only 100 pages in. So is this a cozy book? I would say it's probably a bit too heavy to be classified as a cozy, but we're using it for the cozy prompt. And I plead that I thought it was cozy when I picked it up. Look at this cover. Looks like a cozy romance. So that's what I thought. I'm hoping to finish this today. Should be able to finish this today. It's reading very quickly, and I would love to get another roll in tonight to see kind of like what I'm reading tomorrow. So I'm going to go get some reading done, and I'll see you when it's time for another roll. It is Tuesday morning, and this morning I finished 8 perfect hours. I thought I'd get it done yesterday, but it didn't happen. So I finished it early this morning. It's now 11 o'clock on Tuesday, and I will be doing my next roll. But first, let's chat about this. This was much heavier than I thought it would be. It does not really work for the cozy prompt, but I said that earlier and we're just gonna go with it because I thought it was a cozy romance when I picked it up. It covers a lot of mental health issues. It covers a lot of topics. I really related to Noelle in a lot of ways, not in all the ways and not necessarily in my life today, but I have been a carer for a family member at a time, and that really resonated with me, how Noelle was feeling in those moments, especially when she tried to go away. In this book, she tried to go away for a couple of nights. Things happen, and her panic in that moment when what she had lined up falls through was something that I have felt before, and it really just resonated with me so much that I just loved the way the mental health rep and things like that were covered in this book. It felt very authentic to me because if I can relate to it, it means it is authentic to my situation or to people who are dealing with this situation, because I felt that way. There's also a lot of anxiety rep in here. There's depression rep. There's postpartum rep. There is a lot of mental health rep in this book. There is also a little touch of suicide in here, so keep that in mind. It's not large and it's not on page. It's happened years and years before, but it is talked about. So there's a lot of mental health rep in this book, and it is much heavier than I thought, but I really did appreciate what the author was trying to do. And even the look of basically fate in a relationship. How much does fate really play a part? And if you miss your moment, how many moments do you get? And I really did enjoy my time with this book. I gave it 4 stars. It's not a romance. It has a romance subplot, but it is not a romance. So please keep that in mind. I went into it thinking it's a romance. Goodreads classifies this as a Christmas romance. It sets place in January through August, and it's not a romance. So it is neither Christmas nor a romance. I knew it wasn't Christmas going in because someone had told me that. I did think it was a romance going in, so that's why I'm telling you these things. It is neither. Goodreads is completely wrong. It is neither of those things. That being said, it is time for our next roll for the TBRathon to be rolled. So let's jump in. Ooh, a 6. That's a good roll. That's a big roll. We'll make it quite a ways through the board. Let's see. Let me grab the board and see what that gets us to. Ooh, witchy vibes. I'm going to put this down. I don't even know why I'm still holding this. Witchy vibes. Okay, I actually kind of think I know exactly what I'm going to pick up. There's a book on my Kindle that I have had my eye on for a minute. The audiobook is on Everand. Let me just go check and see if that is what we're gonna go with. I'm gonna go just have a little look, have a little check at my shelves, but I think I know which one I'm gonna go with. So I did have a little look around, and I think I am gonna go with the Kindle book, but I am kind of debating between two. So I went upstairs and I did grab the book that I originally thought of, which was The Improbable Magic for Cynical Witches. This is a book that I actually do not know how this ended up on my Kindle. I don't know where it came from, but it is on my Kindle and I really do want to read it. And this is the one that I was thinking of when I went upstairs. I also grabbed A Discovery of Witches because I do really want to get to this book as well. But this is starting a series and the other book is a standalone. So I think we're going to go with the standalone because I'm trying to finish series this year, not necessarily start them. I may at times start a series. I'm not going to completely rule that out for the year, but if I have the option between a standalone and a start of a series, I'm probably going to try and pick the standalone. So I think we're going to read The Improbable Magic for Irrational Witches, Cynical Witches.
That's not my name. That's not my name.
This is a standalone. I know that it is about witches and I know that it's sapphic. All of these things are buzzwords for me, and why it's on my Kindle. If this came by Stuff Your Kindle Day or another way, I don't know. It could be a Stuff Your Kindle Day book. It could also be a book that was just like on sale on Kindle at one point and I picked it up. I don't know how it came on my Kindle, but it is on my Kindle and I'm going to be reading it for witchy vibes. I feel like we could title this vlog, I pick books and they're not what I think they are. So this book I thought was a fantastical book, but still a romance, but like a witchy fantastical book. It is not really that. So in this book, we do have witches, but in the form of like a Wiccan coven. They're not magical witches, if that makes sense. So I don't know that much about the Wiccan religion or lifestyle, so I'm not going to talk too much about that because I really only know bits and what's in this book. But that's what we follow, is like a Wiccan coven, not necessarily like what you think of maybe fantastical witches where they're like having magic. I was thinking this was going to be more like the X-Hex, where she actually like has some magic, but it's still a romance. That's not what this is. So anyway, in this book, we follow Eleanor. Eleanor is, I think, about 18. It doesn't really tell us the ages of these characters, but I do know that Eleanor is graduated from high school, but because she did a GED and it seems like all her peers are in their senior year of school, she decided to go the GED route for various reasons. She had a lot of things going on about a year previous to this book. Her mother's diagnosed with Lyme disease, and also there seems to be something that happened with a friend, Chloe, at school. It seems like they were dating and there was something that happened, and it's kind of implicated in this book that something happened, but I don't know what that something is. So Eleanor is living in Salem. Her whole family lives in Salem and works in a witchy shop in Salem where it sells like tchotchkes and stuff, because obviously Salem is quite a tourist attraction for the witch trials. When in walks two girls. One of them is Pixie and the other is Pixie's cousin. They are coming in looking for a map because they are part of this coven and they are trying to cleanse the city of Salem of this horrible history of hanging and burning and all the things to women who were actually innocent women. Instantly, Eleanor and Pixie have some connection. There is some connection between them. You can tell that there's some flirtation going on, and Pixie invites Eleanor into the coven, and a romance kind of starts from that. However, a lot of this book follows a past timeline, and we're seeing this thing with Chloe playing out in the background. And I don't really know why we're spending so much time on Chloe at this point. I know that whatever happened with Chloe has really hurt Eleanor, but I don't know why the book is focusing on it so much. At this point, it feels like too much. It feels like we are really focusing on a past relationship more than we're focusing on the current one with Pixie. And potentially, when I get to the end of this book, I'll say, yes, that made sense. There was a reason we were focused so much on Chloe. once I find out all of the details, because I'm getting it in little bits, little flashbacks, little bits and pieces, so I'm not getting all of the details. But as of right now, it seems like too much time on this past relationship that isn't our actual relationship in the book. That's how I feel at 58% in. Last night on Sprints, I did get to 58% into this book, so I definitely will finish this today. You might actually get to see me again today. I tend to only do one vlog update a day, but I might have to do 2 today because we may have to do another roll. Although that is hard to say because as you can see, I am not home. I am out doing errands today and I'm gonna vlog those a little bit. You'll have a little B-roll after this clip of me going to do some various things. So I won't be doing much reading this morning unless I throw the audiobook on in the car, which may happen. You never know. We'll see. And let's just dive in and see if I still agree with that the Chloe timeline is taking up too much of this book. That's kind of my question right now is, will that all come together with the end of the book, or is it just too much? Right now it's too much, but maybe it'll all come together. We'll find out. Fully done The Improbable Magic of Irregular Witches. I'm having a lot of issues with this book and it's making me somewhat angry. And I will go into the full details of that when I do finish, because I am going to finish. I only have an hour left and I'll talk about it at that time. But my son just went out with his grandpa to get dinner, so the house is super quiet. So it's the perfect time for me to film another roll. So I'm just going to take advantage of this opportunity and I will talk to you again when I finish the other book. But this is a good time to see what my next book will be. So I have my tray, I have my dice. Let's see what we've got. A 3. I don't think that's good. I'm kind of nervous that that's the go back space. Let me look. No, it's Cli-Fi. And I honestly have no idea what I'm going to read for this space because I read what I believe is my only Cli-Fi book on my TBR in the trail map vlog. So I need to go do some research into what I'm going to read for this Cli-Fi book. And I will let you know what I've chosen when I finish The Improbable Magic of Irregular Witches. I will finish this book. I will figure out a Cli-Fi and then I will come back, tell you my thoughts on The Improbable Magic of Irregular Witches. There are things happening that are not great, but we'll talk about that when I'm finished. And then I will tell you what Cli-Fi I have either found on my shelves that I didn't know I owned or I have found on KU. So let's talk about The Improbable Magic of Cynical Witches for a second. I did not love the second half of this book. I ended up giving it 2 stars, unfortunately, and that's so sad to me because I was very excited about this book. I did not like a lot of things that happened towards the end of this book. First off, every relationship in here is a toxic relationship. There's not a good relationship in the bunch. And that definitely colored my enjoyment of this book because they're not toted, like that's not the purpose of some of them. Some of them are meant to kind of show how this new relationship is different from this old one with Chloe. I think we almost harped on that way too much. It was like an obsession with Chloe, and this obsession just went on and on and on. And eventually, we even run into a stalking situation in one of our relationships, and that really just pushed it over the edge. And yes, there is some things that happen around the stalking that shows that the character that did the stalking knows that that is incorrect. And I just don't think it was handled necessarily well, nor was really needed in the story. I think we focused way too much on this past relationship and there wasn't enough of the present one in it. There was also some lying in one of the present relationships that was questionable to me. There was also a sexual assault that happens that really goes untalked about after it happens. Actually, one of our characters just goes, yeah, he's a jerk. And that's really like the biggest deterrent to this sexual assault is that he's a jerk. And I was like, well, he's more than a jerk. Can we discuss this more? I'm concerned. And it was just not what I wanted from that as well. And then there was also some homophobic statements that really go unchallenged in the book. Our main character challenges them a little bit, but nobody around really challenges these statements. And I would have liked to seen those challenged and kind of be like, these are not okay by more than just our main character. I would have liked to see someone else say something. And there was just multiple instances that made me feel uncomfortable in this book and got me to my 2-star rating. Anyway, moving on to our Cli-Fi. And if you saw my roll yesterday, I was not sure what I was going to pick up for this. I had one Cli-Fi on my shelves, read it for Trail Map, did not have another. So I went to the Discord, asked for recommendations, and Margaret was also sprinting at the time, and I asked for recommendations in Margaret's sprints. Someone, and I do not remember who recommended this. If it was you, please let me know in the comments because I want to thank you for recommending this book. I asked for Cli-Fi recommendations, preferably on KU, and they recommended How High We Go in the Dark. This is a Cli-Fi book that focuses on the melting permafrost at the Arctic. So things are melting, things are becoming unearthed, ancient civilizations, etc. And a germ, a disease, an ancient disease comes out of the ice and starts a pandemic across the world. So if you are not ready for pandemic literature, which I can completely understand, if that is just something you're not ready to read, do not pick up this book because it is a horrific pandemic. So please keep that in mind. Mental health here, everyone. This is not to go into lightly. And each chapter is like a short story of someone connected to someone who's gotten the disease or is trying to stop the disease, or even in the first chapter, we follow someone at the Arctic pole who finds the disease. So we kind of like go through different short stories, but they're all connected within this world. I am currently sitting at 34% of this book, and if it continues in the way it's continuing, I will have my first 5-star read of the year. That's how much I'm enjoying the first part of this book. I am loving this book. It is heart-wrenching. It is such heavy topics. I have welled up at least 3 times. Every story has gotten me at some points. The audiobook is fantastic. Every story has a different narrator, and some of them, when they act with emotion, you can hear the emotion right through their voice, and it is fantastic. Highly recommend the audiobook. I'm currently on Thursday sprints. I have 4 minutes left in this sprint, so we are going to wrap this vlog update up pretty quickly, but I'm not reading this on sprints because, as I mentioned, I have welled up a couple of times and no one needs to see me crying on the internet. Nobody needs to see that. And I am behind on my Eye of the World pages. So I'm going to be reading Eye of the World and filming and doing some admin things during these sprints. And then tonight, whoever is sprinting, I will jump on and read more of this and finish it probably tomorrow. May finish it tonight. It depends on how long I'm sprinting and when I actually get to this. And I love that my first 5-star of the year, if it does end up being a 5-star, obviously things can change in the next 62% or 64%, whatever I've left. If it doesn't change, I love that my first 5-star is a book that I didn't even know about until yesterday. I think that's such a fabulous first 5-star to get. I'm so excited to get back into this book and have my heart broken and to really think about things. That's got a lot of things that we can discuss. This would have wonderful discussions if you want to buddy read this with someone. I'm just having a fabulous time. So a fabulous, sad, heart-wrenching time, but a fabulous time nonetheless. So I am going to go read some Eye of the World on sprints, and then I will chat back in with you when I finish this either tonight or most likely tomorrow. Friends, I have finished How High We Go in the Dark, and it is 5 stars, and it is my first 5-star read of the year. I am so excited. I loved this short story collection, and I feel like I never give short story collections 5 stars because to enjoy every single story is hard to do. If I looked at each individual story, no, not all of them are 5 stars. Some of them are 4-star stories, but the way they all connect, the way they all build on each other, and also the way this book wraps up in the last short story, I was shocked. I was mouth agape. I was screaming at Leandra in all caps in our chat because I need someone to chat about this book with, and I feel like Leandra and I will have fabulous discussions. I need to discuss this with someone. I need to talk to someone about this book. There's so much to talk about. There's so much to dissect. It's very heavy. It's very dark. We follow hundreds and thousands of years between multiple peoples and between different families and legacies and what kind of the world turns into after this disease and this pandemic. It's so interesting. It was so powerful in a lot of ways. The audiobook, I cannot say enough about the audiobook. Highly recommend if you love sci-fi. I think you would love this book, but please go into it knowing it is heavy. It follows a pandemic. All those things. Now, most likely, this is the last book for this vlog because unless we roll a 1, we're at the finish of the board. But let's do one last roll just to make sure we don't have to do a 5-star prediction. We might, but I doubt it. So let me grab my tray and my dice and we'll see what we get. A 5. I figured we were done. I'm pretty happy to end on my first 5-star of the year in this vlog. And I think it's really interesting because I said this in the last clip. I didn't really know about this book until a couple of days ago. So the fact that it's my first 5-star is really, really fun. So we've had a journey through this vlog. We've had a pretty good book. We've had a book I didn't love. And then my very first 5-star of the year. This To Be Rolled really sent me down a path and down a journey. And thank you so much for watching. This is my last TBRathon vlog. Cannot believe it. Next week I have a collab video coming out that is not part of TBRathon. So you will see that next week. I just want to say thank you so much again to Leandra for planning this readathon. It's been so fun to do all the different boards, and thank you so much for watching all 3 vlogs. I've so appreciated all the support on those as well. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.